Welcome to No Blogger Left Behind. This is Fran Thorsen, and I'm very, very, very delighted to be here. I'm here today with Denise Lonis. We're launching a brand new chapter in real estate blogging, a brand new program for real estate bloggers. No Blogger Left Behind, of course, was the very, very first webinar-based blog coaching program that started back in 2007. We've been away for a little bit. We're back. We're bigger than ever, better than ever, and you're not going to believe some of the stuff that we have here. Of course, a lot of you know me already. My name is Fran Thorsen. I've been around the real estate world for about 26 years. I spent a lot of time in magazine publishing before that. I've been blogging since January of 2005. I think of myself as a cross-platform journalist. I blog on many platforms. I've been blog coaching for a long time, and I have some really, really, really special things for you right now. We have a really, really great program. Let me tell you a little bit about it. You know, when we started this back in 2007, 2008, 2009, No Blogger Left Behind had a different feel to it. It was a webinar-based blog coaching program, and it was great. We launched a lot of great bloggers in the real estate space. Working with Denise Lonis right now up in Bellingham, Washington. Denise is a marketing expert. She's a very, very seasoned, distinguished veteran real estate trainer, and she has put together an online place for us to be sharing, to be learning, and to keeping things together. You're not going to believe some of the stuff. We're going to start out by giving everybody on No Blogger Left Behind immediate access to the Realty Social Queue. I think that that's the very, very first thing you need to do. Go to your dashboard. This is a social media assessment, and this is a way that you can actually benchmark your progress. This is the very first blog coaching program ever to be done in a way that you can measure your success every step of the way. So we're going to ask you to take the social media queue right now. It'll give you a score about your blogging. You'll get a score about your networking, a score about technology, and a risk management score. And you take a look at that, and it will give you some ideas about things you can do, about directions you can travel. So take the Realty Social Queue now. Take it again when the program is over, and you'll actually see measurable results, and you'll be able to have a feel for what you can do. There's a wonderful online classroom. What you're looking at right now is a dashboard. Everybody has their own dashboard. You have tabs, weekly tabs, and everything, for instance, here in week 1 is shown. We have handout links. We have video links. We have lots of stuff for you. We've got a blog planner right here. We've got a checklist. We have lots and lots of videos. We have videos that show you absolutely everything you ever needed to know about WordPress and working on it. We have a complete list of videos that we want you to take a look at so you get some of this practical how-to knowledge. You know, if you're a beginner and you don't know how to create a post or create a page, you can do that. If you don't know how to create or how to insert a picture or insert media or work with hyperlinks or build a menu, we've got it for you. If you've been around for a few years, if you're an advanced blogger and you want to build your own membership site, you can spend a day. We have a day's worth of videos to show you how to do that. You can follow every step of the way. If you want to build your own themes, we have videos to do that. So we have a growing library of resources. We have a very, very good library of videos right now, over 70 videos, and many, many, many hours. Short stuff for the stuff you need to learn quickly, and in-depth videos for stuff that will take you along. We also have an online theater to watch videos. To watch our webinars, and all of our webinars will be available for instant replay right after they're over. Following the webinars, we will have a half an hour Q&A. So here's the way it's going to work. We're going to have a webinar that will last 50 to 55 minutes every week. We're going to close down the webinar, get a cup of coffee, make a phone call if we have to do that, and then we're going to come back, and then at 10 o'clock Pacific time, 2 o'clock Eastern time, we're going to dial into a conference call line, and then we're going to have a very, very interactive question and answer session. You can submit your questions either by email, or you can ask us right on the call, and we'll take your questions and answer them then. We have another really good bonus and for everybody, and that is a Club Zebra membership for 60 days. I'm going to turn the mic over here to Denise. Denise, tell them a little bit. Tell our listeners a little bit about yourself for the people who don't know you yet, and tell them a little bit about Club Zebra so that they know what's in that other bonus that they have, and they can unlock that and put it to work for themselves.
Well, first of all, I want to welcome everyone for joining us today. I personally am so excited. I've been waiting a very long time for today because I am thrilled about the No Blogger Left Behind program. And just for anyone that's listening right now that doesn't know me, I work in the Pacific Northwest, live up in the Bellingham, Washington area, have been in the real estate industry a few decades, and started out as a real estate agent, was very lucky to be a very successful agent. Then I moved on to being a broker and really found my love and passion in helping agents just get to a level in their business where they were not able to attain on their own. So I love, very passionate about training and helping agents win. Bottom line is I like to see agents win. And my specialty and areas of expertise, I would definitely say would have to be in the marketing and branding arena, and also in lead generation. So that's where the No Blogger Left Behind has really been something that's attractive to me, and that is because there's no doubt that blogging is such a phenomenal way for agents to generate leads and to get their branding and marketing out there and to tell the world who they are, what they know, and to really have their expertise shows. So that's a little bit about my background. I'm also a trainer, coach, and analyst in the real estate industry, and I've been very fortunate also to be able to speak nationally on a number of issues. So I'm thrilled about the program. One of the things that you will have an opportunity to participate in is my company's Club Zebra program. And Club Zebra is a phenomenal tool for agents to be able to go in and to get all kinds of training. So there's video training, there's webinar training, there is tips and tricks how to make your business better. There's all sorts of problem-solving videos on there as well. Also, you can go in and you can have a look at the multitude of articles we have, not only articles that I've written for agents, but also articles that agents can then use to send out some really great content to their clients as well. So it's just a great opportunity to get in there and to get a feel for, who I am, what I do, and it gives you an introduction to little short tips on business building. So I really hope that you enjoy it. I'm really excited about No Blogger Left Behind because so many of my clients that I have coached and trained over the years are looking for a solution that's going to really integrate all parts of their business, so their branding, their marketing, their follow-up. And there's no better way than No Blogger Left Behind to learn those skills and those tools. And blogging is something that both Fran and I are very passionate about. I've had the opportunity to work with Fran for some time now. There is nobody, in my opinion, who is better equipped to talk about this subject. Fran is an expert. There's no doubt in my mind she's an expert in blogging. In fact, they call her the blog mother. And she's also been a cross-platform journalist online and a blog coach and trainer for years. So to have her, heading this up, I am just thrilled to be on board with it. So, Fran, I think what I would love to do is I really wanted for today to be an opportunity to get everybody excited for them to see what we're going to be doing throughout the No Blogger Left Behind program. So I would just love to start out by having you define for us, what is a blog? What is a blog and what's the big deal with this blogging?
Okay, and that's a really great place to start, and it's a great place to start for everybody. A blog is really a website. A blog is a type of website. So when people say, well, I have a website and I have a blog, you really have two websites. A blog comes from two words, web and log, because a blog is written and has a stream of entries that generally appear in chronological order. It's a rather easy type of maintenance once you have it set up, and the earliest blogs were just basically journals. They started as journal types of websites and very, very simple. A lot of the premier bloggers of our time, a lot of our pioneers are still on their very, very first blogs. They haven't done a whole lot. We're going to get into a lot of different types of alternatives here on No Blogger Left Behind. Sometimes you can look at blogs, you can look at WordPress blogs especially, and they have another kind of appearance. They look like an online magazine. Another one may look like like a place to go, an online shopping mall. You have all kinds of formats and constructs around blogs that give you wonderful, wonderful opportunities to expand, to reach your market, and to really, really make your own imprint in your own special way. So, what is a blog? A blog used to be just a blog and just a series of journal entries, and now it's a whole lot more. Now it can be a very, very robust website. So a blog is everything you want it to be. Anything you ever want to do on a website, you can do on a WordPress platform on a blog. So if you're looking at options right now, and you're thinking that you need to have a web presence and you don't have one yet, and you're thinking about a website or a blog, you only have to think once. If your website doesn't have a blog, then you just may want to think about having a WordPress blog, because a WordPress blog is a website.
Well, I think that's a great, just such a great definition. And, one of the things that I'm talking to my clients about right now is the fact that the wonderful thing about blogs and about blogging is that there's just so much more opportunity for engagement and interaction. And a blog really, as you say, Fran, can be anything you want it to be. And I do know that a lot of agents today are choosing to have a WordPress blog and to, forego the website. And one of the things that we'll be talking about a little bit later on is, okay, what do I do with the website that I've had for 10 years? So we want to be very careful that we're not encouraging people just to scrap what they've got, but rather to do it right. So, the wonderful thing about a blog and what a blog is it can be so many things. It can be a client care tool. It can be a lead generation tool. It can be a follow-up tool. It can be an information tool. It can be a tool that you supply your expert status to. So it really is something that portrays you as the expert perhaps in a neighborhood, an area, a community, or about a particular niche market. So, a blog is many, many things. So, Fran, what's the big deal with blogging today? Why would an agent want to blog? With everything else they've got to do, why blogging?
And that's a great question, and the reasons for this are getting stronger and stronger every single year. And I'm going to reverse some stuff that I used to say. So I've been evolving with blogging, and there are some things that I used to think. I used to think that people didn't really need to blog, that there were so many bad blogs that if you weren't going to do it right, don't bother at all. But what I've been watching happen, especially in the last year, and very, very I've been watching very, very keenly in the last few months, I'm watching a lot of really good real estate agents, people I have known for 20 years and more. I've been watching them lose business like crazy. Now, we know that over 90% of the people who are looking for homes right now start online. We know that over 90% of the consumers looking for homes use the Internet. And what I'm seeing happen is I'm seeing a lot of really smart, techie kinds of people generating lots of leads, capitalizing on a lot of real estate business, and doing a lot of very, very smart stuff online. It doesn't always translate that the same people who do the best work online, who know how to generate the leads, who are attracting the traffic, that doesn't always happen that they're really necessarily the best real estate professionals to be doing the job. And I've seen a lot of really wonderful, smart, savvy real estate agents, real estate brokers who know real estate, who understand the law, who understand, fiduciary in states where they have fiduciary responsibilities, who know contract law, who are just absolutely, amazing in terms of their real estate savvy and their suffering right now, and they don't have the business coming from the web. They're relying totally on past clients and referrals, and they're losing it. They're losing a lot of business to people who have the technical know-how. So, where some years ago I was saying, well, you don't necessarily have to have a blog. I'm going to go. I'm going to say flat out right now, unequivocally, everybody who wants to stay in this business and who wants to be in this business in 3 to 5 years from now, you really need to do this. You really need to get going now. You need to do it right, and you need to make a business decision that you're going to have a presence online, an interactive presence with real estate consumers who have an opportunity to hear who you are and what you're about. Otherwise, you can just forget it. I mean, figure out what you're going to do with your license. I don't think that you're going to be here much longer. I am very, very sad and unhappy to see so many wonderful real estate agents and brokers that I know personally. I know these people personally, and the business they're losing because they have not taken those steps to capture the business online. And it's a sad time for consumers if too many consumers are going into the sales funnel for people who know about creating a sales funnel and attracting people online, but who don't have the experience, the knowledge, and the education and the experience that are attached to being a real estate agent or broker for 20 or 30 years.
Well, this is something that I talk about a lot in my classes and with my coaching groups, Fran, and that is the fact that so many agents over the years have gotten in the habit of relying on past client business, and you hear it all the time. In fact, agents brag about it, and they say, well, I work with a business that is primarily referrals. My past clients are good to me, and they refer business to me. And what I say to them is I say, well, that's great, and that is really, to me, a sign that you've done a good job. The challenge is, if that's how you run your business, you're always running your business waiting on somebody else's timing. So what you're doing is you're hoping that their timing matches your timing. And if your timing is that you need to earn some income to pay your mortgage, then unfortunately, if their timing is they're going to wait another 6 months, those time clocks aren't matching. And what I tell people is it's nice to have a referral come in from a past client, and it's nice to be having referrals in your business, but correct lead generation and having a faucet that you can turn on, something that you control, is the key to really taking your business to the next level. So it's really important that you're the person, not your past clients, not friends, not family, but you control the flow of traffic that comes into and leads that come into your business, which is why I love blogging and which is why I tell my clients that if you're not familiar with blogging, if it's something you don't understand or you don't know, you need to get educated. I also tell them that if you're going to blog, do it right from the beginning, and it's going to take a learning curve. So anyone that is on the call today and all of you that are listening, it's important to know that, blogging is something that you can learn. It's something that you can absolutely really dominate in your marketplace. And the reason for that is so many agents are not out there blogging. And I'm hoping that they will, because it's always good for the consumer. But the reality is if you want a business that you can control the leads, if you want a business that you're not wondering, when it will be the moment that my past clients are ready to buy or sell real estate, but rather be in a marketplace where you always have your faucet open, where you can get that constant flow of leads coming in. And that's why I tell agents to blog, because if they're blogging, their faucet is open, they're filling up their funnel. And that's really, really important in real estate, because too many agents are relying on their past clients, and their past clients are not doing what they need them to do quickly enough. And then what that does for the agent is it really creates so much stress. So in thinking about blogging, blogging really solves so many problems for an agent, and most of the agents that I talk to, they have a lead generation problem. And as you say, Fran, I see this all the time. I see agents that have been in this business 20 years, 15 years, and I'm going to call that the long-term veterans of real estate. These are agents that know how to put transactions together. They know how to communicate. They know how to present offers. They know how to show properties. They know how to do the research in the market. And as you say, they're losing out to these agents that are coming and saying, I'm going to blog and I'm going to do some lead generation. And, what happens is when they do that, some of those clients are being taken away from those seasoned veterans, and then they're sitting back wondering, is my model that I have relied on for all these years not working anymore? And the reality is that people today, as you say, are going online, and they are searching, and they're searching for the area that they want to live and the neighborhood they want to live and the community they want to live. And if you have a strong voice as the agent in that community, that neighborhood, that area, that city, that market, then you have a really good chance of being able to have an opportunity to at least, be maybe the potential agent who sells their home or who helps them buy a home. So you really have to look at blogging very closely. The agents in the country that are doing it, across the country that are doing it well, will tell you that they wouldn't live a day without their blog now. Prior to this, when they didn't know blogging, they had no idea the potential. So if blogging is done right, and that's what I really want people to get excited about, if you do it right, you put the energy into it, and you are right now by listening today, you have a really good opportunity to be creating this ongoing faucet in your business. So, Fran, one of the things that I want you to address, because blogging really allows you to capitalize on hot topics and popular search terms, and that's the whole idea around lead generation online. It also will help you to increase traffic to your site, and it's going to expose different audiences, different buyers and sellers to your brand, to who you are, what you offer. So I want you to talk today a little bit about search engine optimization and blogging and how they are so closely tied together and how important they are.
Sure, and that's a really, really good point. And search engine optimization and that type of attraction is important on two levels. So I'll address it on one level first, and that's on the on a technical level and working on the web. Keywords and words in articles and headlines and all over the place. Those are the words, the keywords that people look for when they're on Google or when they're on Yahoo search or Bing. They look for keyword combinations. I'm looking for a house in the foothills in Tucson. I'm looking for a house in the Sam Hughes neighborhood. I'm looking for a house in Bellingham, Washington. People are looking on a very, very hyper-local level. They're looking at topics. They may be looking for information about financing or for information about HUD homes, which we also talk about a lot. So they're doing all that kind of searching online, and the more you talk about your business, the more you talk about your neighborhoods, the more you talk about financing that's available, the ups and the downs, and the trials and the tribulations. The more you talk about that, the more you're putting those search engine, those keywords into the search engines, and the more food they have to find you. The other part of it, and the second part of those keywords, is the kind of people that you're going to be attracting, because what you write about is exactly the type of person and the type of needs that you're going to be attracting to into your website, into your blog, into your life as clients. And the more you talk about your niche, the more the more you will have people. Excuse me. The more you will have people coming into your business who are aligned with that. The more you talk about issues of the day, and the more you will have people who are aligned with you. And I'm going to mention something here too, because some people are of a mind that that you should only write about certain things and avoid a lot of other subjects if there's any controversy attached. And when I first started blogging, I thought about that a little bit. And I thought, oh my goodness, do I talk about politics? Do I talk about my feelings about major issues? And will I be alienating people who don't agree with me? And I took a leap of faith and said, I really need to be who I am. I've been neutral. I had been neutral. I had a very neutral posture in business for many, many years. I didn't talk about politics, religion, sex. You don't do that. It was strictly about business. And I started to open up in my blog, and I started to be very, very authentic and very much who I am as a person, what I believe, and I talked about, the issues of the day. I mean, one of the things I talk about right now is foreclosures and home retention and the problems that foreclosures face and distressed homeowners. And what I found was that I was attracting people into my business right away. I mean, very, very quickly, people who were aligned with the same types of things that I thought, who had the same values that I had, who had the same kinds of beliefs. And every now and then I would get a comment from somebody, or I'd hear from somebody who maybe didn't like something that I said. But more important, I had people who were coming into my business who kind of made a connection with me right up front because we shared a commonality, because we shared the same passion about an issue that we probably wouldn't have talked about if they hadn't read it on the blog. So starting new business relationships with buyers and sellers who have been to your blog, who have gotten to know you, who have come to know who you are as a person, puts you on in a place of intimacy, if I can use that word, and knowledge about each other that makes you comfortable. And it's this whole law of attraction thing. It's bringing people into your life who you really, really enjoy working with. So besides bringing more leads and a larger volume of leads into your business, what it does is it increases the quality of your life, because the people who come into your business when you're blogging and when you are who you are, the people who come into your life come in a way that they never would have if you just met them at a house or sat down at an appointment after they called you on the newspaper. I think that was one of the biggest ahas to me in 2005, was that the people who came into my business after reading my blog posts were people that I worked with. I felt like I knew them for 10 or 20 years, or maybe since I was a kid, because we had that kind of engagement and they had that kind of connection with each other, Denise.
Well, I think that, the one thing that I really want agents to understand about blogging and why blogging is so effective is that blogging allows a potential client, whether that's a buyer or a seller, to almost get a little bit of a sneak peek about who you are before they even have to pick up the phone, before they meet with you. And I do agree with you that it's really important to have your own style in a blog, to make sure that you have your own personality, your own voice. I mean, people hire us. If you just look around the country, look at all the different, it's a melting pot of so many different agents, so many different age groups, so many different personalities, so many different styles. And, people hire people that they like. People hire people that they enjoy talking to. People hire people that they respect, that they admire, that they look up to and think maybe they're the expert in this field. And if you talk to 100 different people, they're all going to have a different view and a different opinion and a different answer for why did you hire the real estate agent you did. Some would say, well, I hired her because she's results driven. Someone else would say, I hired her because she seems ethical and honest. Someone else will say, well, I hired him because he's really consistent and he's been mailing to me for 2 years. So what's really interesting and why I love blogs so much is that I can go online and read different blogs and read content in different blogs, and I start to get a feel for that particular agent's personality, and that is the law of attraction. We are attracted to certain types of people. There's nothing wrong with that. But if your blog is too vanilla, and if you're afraid to step out of your shell, so to speak, and you're trying to follow all these rigid rules about what to do and what not to do on a blog, I think you sometimes box yourself into a corner. I am telling agents today that it's important that you really think about, what is it that you see about you in your blog. That's going to be really important. So,
Denise, let me just jump in for one second with a quick story, because as you were talking, you made me remember something that happened when I first started blogging, and I know that one of the people on the call today is my broker, who was a broker for over 20 years, and she was there, and she can bear me out. But it was funny. I was in the office one day, and we had a very, very small office on Broad Street in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And one day there was a gentleman who drove up on his Harley, and he came into the office, and his face was red, and he was all flustered, and in his fist he had a copy of a letter that I wrote to him. I used to love to prospect for FSBOs and expireds, and he had an expired letter from me in his hand. And he said to my broker, who was sitting at the front desk at that moment, where is this person? I need to talk to her right now. And he was, very, very flustered. And I know this lady, Makani, is sitting on the phone, and she's or on the webinar here laughing, and she's remembering this. And I came out, and I said, may I help you? And he said, you wrote this letter? And I said, I certainly did. He said, well, there's just one thing I have to ask you, he said. And he had the letter in his hand, and he punched his fist on the table. He said, just tell me where I have to sign. And it was the quickest listing I ever did, because he came in and he just wanted to list his property. He had, had a blog. My blog URL was on the letter. What happened was he had gone to my blog. He made a really strong connection with me personally. He felt a lot about things the way I did, about real estate, about life, about politics. Anyway, he had such a strong connection that I ended up listing that property. It was a 3-unit property in Easton, Pennsylvania. I listed it. The numbers were looking good, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my goodness, now if I said, and I looked at him in the eye. I said, now this price looks good, John. I mean, I haven't seen this house yet, but this price looks good. If we need to work with numbers, are we going to be able to talk about this? I mean, can you imagine? I mean, this is an expired listing. I'm not fighting about price. I'm telling this basically, absolutely. So, we got the paperwork signed, and I had an appointment to go look at the property the next day. I was going to wait until I saw it before I put it in the multi-list, obviously. And in the meantime, I checked the listing. The listing had been with a friend of mine in real estate. I called her, and I found out why the listing didn't sell. So I went to the house the next day. It was a 3-unit property, dynamite property, wonderful. And the problem it wasn't sold was because he had 3 sets of tenants, and every tenant on each floor had a different breed of attack dog, and none of the tenants were home at the same time. Nobody could ever get in to see the place because they had these really vicious sounding dogs, and they were scared to death, and you just could never show it. So I said to him, here's the deal. I'll keep this listing. I'll work this listing. It's a great property, but I don't want to spend 10 hours a day, because I know what the other agent went through. I don't want to spend all my time fighting with tenants who aren't going to let me in. I said, I'm going to have to leave it up to you. I'm going to call you for an appointment, and you have to promise me that when we get a showing, that people are going to be able to get in and see every one of those apartments on the same day without having to come back 2 and 3 times and 4 times and never be able to get in. And if you can do that for me, I'll keep this listing and we'll sell this property. And we sold it in about 2 weeks. And it was a great property. It was great, but I put the burden on him. And I was very, very strong about that. I took a very, very strong stance. But what I have been in that position, and if he didn't, come and just tell me that he had to list that property with me, we had a connection from a blog, and that was the bottom line. I was used to calling expireds and FSBOs and going, and, they're talking to 3 and 4 other people, and, you've got that whole routine when that happens. Well, this was very, very different. This was a very different way to list an expired listing, and that was one of my big ahas very, very early on. So that whole law of attraction thing definitely has a lot going for it.
Well, and the other thing that is so important about what you just said is that this person came to you from a blog because you did have an opinion, you did have a voice. And we're going to talk in a little bit about the specifics on how do you create this online identity. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit, but I just want to go back to cover a couple things about search engine optimization. If you're going to have a blog, you have to be very, very much concerned about search engine optimization and keywords. And, Fran, I have my own set of keywords. It's important for me because I am a coach that, coaching is going to be one of my keywords, and training is going to be in there. And I do a safari a number of times a year, so that's going to be one of my keywords, and marketing and branding and design. So you have to decide as an agent what are the keywords that are important to you. So, Fran, just address a little bit for the agent out there that, is about to set up a blog. What are some things they need to really be thinking about when it comes to keywords?
Sure. The keywords, and we do have some additional in-depth videos in the bonus section for those folks who are members of No Blogger Left Behind. Keywords are words that relate to your business, that the search engine spider looks for and picks up. Keywords are the words that people use to search. So if they're looking for a real estate coaching company, a real estate branding company, I mean, they want to be looking for the kinds of services that the Lowness Group has. If you have a business and you do a lot of work with first-time home buyers, and first-time home buyers is a good set of keywords for you. If you are working in the luxury home market in Scottsdale, luxury homes in Scottsdale, those are good keywords. What you want to do is use the keywords for the parts of your business that you really want to concentrate on. Because if you use keywords, people are going to find you. And be very, very careful about using keywords in parts of the market that you don't want, because you're going to attract people and you need to be able to service them or find a referral source to send them. So keywords are words that you use in your titles of your blog posts. You use it within the text of the blog post. They're included in categories. And you'll see lots of very, very detailed training, again, in our resource center on No Blogger Left Behind that get into some of the nitty-gritty about that. You can do keyword analysis on Google. You can do all kinds of fancy things. It depends on how deep you want to get into it. It doesn't have to be that much. The thing to bear in mind is that use words and articles for the kind of business you want to attract, because the words you use are the words that will be the attractors. The search engines are eating, that's what they eat. They eat words as a diet, and the words that you're using are the words that they're going to use to deliver people who are searching for exactly that.
That's a great, I like that. Those are the words of their diet. I think that's fantastic. I do want to remind everyone that, yes, the videos that are available, the detailed how-to videos are extensive. Please take advantage of that. Now, I want to talk a little bit about why when you have a blog, why it is so important to your business and why it is the center of gravity for you. And, the nice thing about a blog is that a blog is permanent. It is yours. It's going to give you a long-term home for the content that you create. The nice thing is you can change it, you can access it, you can push it through other social and traditional channels. It really is the one place where you get to tell your story without any bias or limitations of a third party. It's yours. Now, you think about Twitter, and you're limited to 140 characters. You think about Facebook, and Facebook has its own rules. It has limitations. And we no longer need to wait for the media to tell our stories, nor should we. So the thing you have to think about is that, yes, Twitter and Facebook and traditional media are all wonderful resources. They're going to help promote your brand. They are temporary, and they're constantly moving. So the streams of information constantly move, whereas your blog is your stable home for the information that you've created relative to your brand, and it's like this growing manual about you and your business. So, Fran, I really love the whole idea of the blogging and the blog being your home. So talk a little bit about just how critically important it is. I really want people to understand just how important blogging is becoming in our industry.
Absolutely, and there's nobody can ever use the excuse again that I don't have time to blog. When I see how many real estate agents are spending time on Facebook, spending time on Twitter and in social media, boy, if you can spend that much time in social media, you can spend it in with a blog, because a blog should be the center of gravity. You need a home base. You need a place that is yours. Facebook isn't yours. YouTube isn't yours. LinkedIn, Twitter, those are all, outside communities run by other people. They have rules. They have rules that change. There are different rules of engagement. And what you need to be doing, if you're doing it smart, and what the people who are doing it smart are doing, are they're creating their center of gravity with a blog, and then using that content and then sharing that content on Facebook. Sharing that in their LinkedIn groups and posting that on LinkedIn. Sharing it and engaging and talking about that on Twitter if they're over there. And they're using it online. But the absolute center of gravity for everyone. If you take a look at the people who have the most the most serious presence online, it's the people with a blog. So if you see people who have a presence all around social media and they're not blogging, I have to wonder about how efficient they really are. You have a lot of peer-to-peer discussion on social media, and sometimes I hear people say, "Oh, I don't have time to blog. I'm prospecting, or I'm online all the time. I'm on Facebook." Well, being on Facebook and engaging with other real estate people is not the most efficient way of spending your time online. It's not a really, really structured approach. It isn't a business approach. You need to have something that is attached to a plan. We talked about developing a blog business plan. More of the handouts on your first day are, working with a plan, actually a daily plan, working with goals. Making your blog a center of gravity with a plan, and not just a blogging plan. You have a real estate plan. A blog plan is part of your overall plan, and it's just absolutely the single most important thing that you can do if you're not doing it now. And it's the single most important thing that you can do better if you're doing it now. And I don't care how good or how well you're doing it, you can always take your blog. You can always take it to the next level.
So now, Fran, I think I hope we've done a good job of getting people excited about the power of the blog and the importance of it. Now what I want to talk about is, so now you're ready to go. You've decided, yes, I want to create my blog. Well, before you can create a blog, what you really have to do is you have to think about your brand and brand identity online and why it is so important to the creation of the brand. And that is something that is near and dear to my heart. And I always ask clients, I always say to them, what makes you different than your competitors? Why does somebody want to work with you? What is it that you offer that perhaps somebody else doesn't offer? What is it that you do better than someone else? What advantage does a client have when they work with you? What problem do you solve for your clients? So those are questions that you have to think about when distinguishing yourself from your competition, because what a brand does is it clearly defines your personality. It builds for you a group of followers, people that like what you stand for. It's really, really important that today, especially because of what's happening online, and people are online all the time, you have to create more than just a place where they can go and look at houses and find out about a neighborhood. They want your voice. People are attracted to you. If they weren't, we wouldn't have real estate agents anymore. People would list their own houses. They would sell their own houses, and we wouldn't be needed. But we are needed because people want that personal service. They want that personal touch, and more so than ever, they want your advice. They want to know who you are. So creating a brand online, the first step in doing that is asking yourself, what's different about me? What's better about me? What's unique about me? What problems am I solving? So I want you to really think about that. And the thing that you have to remember is that branding is about creating emotional bonds with your clients. Okay? It's about creating an experience for them. And oftentimes I will say to agents, what experience does the client have once they've finished with you? Once the house has been bought or sold and everything's been closed and finished and the house is off the market and now the homeowner is sitting in their home, what was the experience like for them? And that's what you're trying to think about. That's what I want you to think about when you're trying to create your brand. So, Fran, any comments on the brand side of creating the blog? I mean, the uniqueness and having your own voice, of course, but anything else you'd like to add to that?
No, I think you've got it, and certainly you are the premier person to talk to about branding. I might just add a little thing, and that when people think about branding, they may think of it a little more formally. I like to tell people to, because sometimes they get stuck and they say, well, who am I to be talking about this, that, or the other thing? And what I say is, you need to just articulate, know who you are, of course, to be able to articulate that. But think back and think about the last 3 transactions you had, and think about the last 3 times that people left the table, the settlement table, and saying, boy, Jean was absolutely the nicest realtor. I'm so glad I found her. I mean, life just wouldn't have been the same. This transaction wouldn't have been the same. What is it that made you different? What is it that made that buyer or that seller fall in love with you? What are the things you did that made that person trust you and like you and say, wow, I'm really, really glad. Chances are that had nothing to do, they had a great website, or they did this, that, or the other thing. It was something personal. And your brand is also very, very personal. So understand what it is that attracts people to you, that they like about you, and don't underestimate anything. It could be that you got back to them immediately with feedback about things that happened, that you negotiated something for them when, with a bank, that when they thought they didn't have a chance of a snowball, where. It could be any one of those things that you take for granted about yourself, or that you think people take for granted. But if that's something that gave somebody trust in you, that made somebody love you, that made somebody think, wow, I'm so glad I found this person, understand what those qualities are about yourself, and talk about that a little bit in the discussions you have online. Talk about some of those personal journeys that you have. You maybe you're struggling with a transaction, or you see some trends about negotiating with banks or short sales or something happening, and just talk about that a little bit, because that's the part of you that people are relating to. Your brand is who you are and how you make people feel.
And Fran, what we'll also do is I'm going to make available for everyone, I just finished completing a very in-depth white paper on branding and how to find your voice and how to come up with a brand for yourself. So we'll make sure that that's available for everyone that's listening on the line, because it's a deeper read, and it's interesting, but it'll give you some insight into thinking about that and what things are important. So, okay, we now know that we got to have a blog. We know that keywords are important. We know we have to come up with our brand identity, but we also have to do some analyzation. So I want you to talk to us a little bit about blog analytics. I think this is a very, very important part of blogging, and about improving your return on investment. So why don't you share some thoughts on blog analytics?
Sure. And again, this is about making your plan. It's about working with numbers and knowing what you have to do. I remember when I first started in real estate, one of the best trainers I ever heard was Alan Jacobson, and he talked about, okay, you want to make a plan. Do you want how much of your business comes from listing and how much from sales? How many showings do you have to have with a buyer before you have a sale, and then how many showing appointments you need to make to have that. How many listing appointments do you have to go on before you get a listing? If you have to have 2 listing appointments for every listing, then you have to make 2 listing appointments in a week if you want to get a listing every week. Well, it's the same thing, taking these kinds of numbers to the online world, because you can track your visitors. You can see where they're coming from. You can see how many of them are coming into your blog. Google has a great analytics program. It's free. You don't really need much more than that. I mean, you can buy something else if you want to. I don't use anything else anymore. But you can track your visitors. You can see when they come. You can see how many people visit different pages. You can see how long they stay on the pages, how many pages they visit, how long they stay on your site. And you can get a feel for what you're doing with that, and then work with those numbers in terms of maybe, okay, if there's a particular type of post that you're writing that gets a lot of attraction and a lot of attention, and people are coming in on keywords, you may want to be writing that same type of post if you get more of that. I remember early on, and back in 2006, I looked at the map of where my people where my readers were from, and I saw a lot of people in Iraq, and we were at there was a conflict, and I knew there were a lot of American servicemen over there. I started to write about VA financing and starting to address that market, and son of a gun, didn't I actually meet a buyer from Iraq who bought a house in Allentown, sight unseen, with the whole thing on the web. You can get amazing insight into the people who are coming to your blog, and then you can work with those numbers, and you can increase your traffic. You want to measure traffic, you want to measure your conversions. We're going to talk a lot about that in depth in our SEO and our planning in No Blogger Left Behind. But it's not a big unknown. It's very, very measurable, very, very trackable, and getting to know that is very, very, a very, very important thing to know when you start to blog.
And the one thing I just want to assure everyone is that all the things that we're talking about require just, to be consistent and to be dedicated to the process. So what Fran talks about when she talks about analytics, for someone who's never ever had a blog and they're sitting back going, I'm a little overwhelmed, don't worry, we're going to have checklists and instructions and step-by-step and additional videos, and everything's going to be delivered in a way that makes a lot of sense to you, and you can email us at any time with questions. So anything like the analytics or anything that sounds a little bit overwhelming, just know that that's what we're here to do, is we're here to help you, because we want every blogger out there to have the opportunity to have a successful blog. I want to move into the discussion now about lead generation and the power of the blog and how important it is to lead generation in your business. So one of the things that I think we have to really pay attention to is the fact that social media and blogs are the fastest growing category in lead generation, and they continue to be categorized as the lowest cost lead generation channel. So we had a look at HubSpot's 2010, the State of Inbound Marketing Survey, and there was some pretty interesting information in there. So Fran, I want you to just tell us a little bit, tell all the listeners a little bit about that study and that survey. I found it fascinating, and I know you have, and I really want people to just understand a little bit about how powerful the information in there is.
I sure will, and you know, this goes against the grain of what some people talk about with when they talk about social media and blogging, because people, you know, there's a discussion about return on investment, or what is, you know, how can I calculate my ROI? And for a lot of people who talk about social media and talk about the social aspect, some of them poo-poo it and say, oh, you know, you really can't. It's important to know, and as long as you make the investment, then the return will take care of itself. And that's, you know, that's just kind of silly, because it's not true, because you can measure all of this stuff. And HubSpot is one of the leading places online that does a yearly study. And they do a study about leads, about you know, people who are using the web to generate business. You know, what kind of leads do they generate? You know, what does it mean to their bottom line? And they have discovered that, and with a really, really good sampling, that marketing-dominated organizations average 60% lower cost per lead than outbound-dominated organizations. So using a blog will cost you actually less per lead than other systems. And 46% of those using company blogs have acquired customers from the blog-generated leads. So it is becoming increasingly important to be using blogs. And in another study that I don't have the exact numbers here, but there was a study from a group that talks about online newsrooms. People who are journalists and the press are relying less on press releases these days than they are on blogs, and they're using blogs more than they ever did before. So not only are you going to be generating leads, you're going to be generating attention from the press. And then knowing how to work with the leads, Denise, and knowing how to deal with those leads, especially when there's a large volume, becomes something else.
Well, and that's the one area that I'm really excited that I'm going to be talking a lot about throughout No Blogger Left Behind, and that is, okay, let's imagine that you go and you create a blog and you do a great job of generating leads. But, you know, leads are nothing if they're not followed up with. You know, leads are nothing if you don't have a follow-up system in place. So you can do all the work doing all your analytics. You can go and you can keyword your blog to death, and you can do all of that. But if you don't have a follow-up system, because it's one thing to get a lead, it's another thing to incubate that lead, to take care of that lead. It's another thing to understand when people are ready. When is somebody ready for you to make contact in a certain way? What is the process of that? What's the psychology of selling? Because the thing is I know that, you know, when I go and visit blogs, there is a time and a place for when I'm ready for someone to make contact with me, when I'm ready to, in essence, be worked. And it's really important that you understand what that looks like, because I think what happens is that a lot of people spend a lot of energy on the analytics part, on the search engine optimization side of their blog, on keywords, and they take a lot of effort there. But then when I ask them, okay, so what does your incubation look like? How do you scrub a lead? How do you incubate a lead? How do you follow up with that lead? How do you care for that lead? What is it that they want from you on an ongoing basis? If somebody's already a blog fan of yours, and now, for example, they've reached out to you and they've become a lead, how are you going to offer them something that is better than what they're getting elsewhere, that doesn't just seem like a sales piece, that actually is something of value? And that's another thing that's really important. We're going to talk about content creation throughout No Blogger Left Behind. People want content. They want good content. People want information. It has to be good information. So you have to be very careful when it comes to lead incubation and follow up and follow through and that part of the process. And I would say, Fran, for me, I see that as being the biggest area of neglect for most bloggers. I think that there are a lot of bloggers that get a lot of attention because they're really good at getting leads and they've got those keywords mastered and the SEO is good. But reach out to them and just see how their ongoing follow-up is, and oftentimes it's not that great. So in saying that, the next thing I want to talk about is the business plan. How does blogging fit into your overall web strategy? What does that look like?
As the lowest cost lead generation channel. And now this is, against a big sample of people, across the board. And I'm saying that with the knowledge that fewer than 6 or 7% of realtors and real estate agents are blogging right now. Again, the low cost per lead is something they talk about a lot, and 46% of those using company blogs have acquired leads from them. That's very, very important. 77% of Internet users read blogs. All right, so now we know two things in real estate. We know that more than 90% of the people looking for homes are working online, and we know that 77% of Internet users read blogs. That tells us something. We see that blogs yield an average return on investment of 600%. We'll talk a lot more about our return on investment in Blogger Left Behind. Return on investment is the money that you're investing in technology and time that you're spending, the value of your time, but we're looking at a $600 ROI, and what do you think, Denise? I think that's a pretty good number.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, and I'm not pulling this out of the air. This is a HubSpot. This is a very, very big report, highly credentialed. Companies that blog have 2 times the number of inbound links versus companies that don't. You want inbound links to your blog. Those are called backlinks. Those are what give you traction online. And if you have a blog, you can have twice as many backlinks than somebody who doesn't, all right? Most people say they're better known in their industry. We know a lot of people who are very well known because they have blogs. And 56% say their blog helped establish their company as a thought leader within their industry. And for anybody right now who's looked at anything online, you can probably think of 10 people right now who fit that description right off the bat. And if you're not one of those people, then you could be.
Well, and also what I am telling agents right now is they need to look at the blog as being part of their business plan. So that's going to be one element of their business plan. And with anything that you're doing with lead generation in your business, it's really, really important that you sit down and you create a business plan. You're going to do that with a blog. You're going to do that with any other lead generation system in your business. You have to have a plan for it. The other thing that I want to talk about now is I want to talk about all the blog platforms that are out there because, Fran, there are so many. And, we can talk about blogs that used to be primary blogs, how now they're being moved to the secondary position. So I want you to share a little bit about all the blog platforms out there so that agents have a really good idea and a good flavor for what they are going to be experiencing out there.
Sure, and what we're going to look at, then what we'll take a look at are some of the platforms that are out there right now. A lot of the people on the call right now may have started their blog on another kind of a platform. They may be moving to WordPress. Blogger at blogger.com, which is also blogspot.com. Blogger was probably the first major platform. Google came out with that. Google had that. They're not supporting it like they used to. They used to have some FTP support, some other technical stuff. They've kind of taken, stepping back away from that. But a lot of the leading bloggers of our, and a lot of the pioneers started there. A lot of us have old Blogger blogs. We've at least worked there. It's a very, very easy system. You can still go there. You can still do a free blog, and that is supported by Google, but it does not have nearly the type of infrastructure as WordPress. Typepad is another place. That's where I actually had my very first 3 blogs or 4 blogs. I had Realtygram blog, or I had my Fat Lady blog, my real estate blog squad was a Typepad, and I also used to blog on the Inman blog when they were on Typepad back in, back many years, I'm saying, 5 years, 6 years ago. 6 years ago sounds like many years now. So Typepad is actually built on a WordPress platform. You pay every month. It's a neat blogging platform, but it's someplace else, and a lot of us got our start there. Active Rain, of course, is a very, very big platform where lots of real estate bloggers got started, primarily a peer-to-peer platform. Realtown is another great one. This one probably has some more juice relative to consumers, and that also is a place where people have free blogs and lots of different types of templates. It's an old home of mine. I was the managing editor of Realtown when it launched. Realtor.com has a blogging platform, so agents at Realtor.com who have listings there can also blog there. That has, very, very limited support. It's part of a network, and it's not really a place, I don't think, where you go just to be on your own, but it's a good place to have a blog. Since it's free, it may be a good secondary blog for you. Point to Agent, of course, one of the best, probably the best templated website in the real estate industry, has built-in blogs, and a lot of people like those. Trulia has a blogging platform, and again, with tens of millions of people who visit the platform every single month who are looking, who are real estate consumers, that is not a bad place to have a blog. Posterous is another platform where you can do lots of neat things, and you can post from your phone and all kinds of stuff. Tumblr's been around for a long time, and then, of course, we have WordPress. So I've got to tell you, I have blogs at all of these places in some way, shape, or form. And part of your blogging strategy right now may be, what do I do with a lot of these old blogs? Do I continue them? Fact of the matter is there are lots of very, very detailed strategies about either continuing with some of your old blogs as secondary blogs or abandoning them, and there are certain ways you can abandon. In some cases, you may be able to take the content from one blog and put it onto a WordPress blog. So there are a lot of different abandonment and secondary blog strategies that we're going to be talking about as well in greater depth. But that's something for food for thought, because if you have a blog at one of these places, there is a way you can use the content. There is a way you can keep your links. There is a way that you're not just giving it up and thinking to yourself, oh, all of that work I did for nothing, because there are ways that you can take that content and then use it to actually help build your presence on a WordPress blog.
And the nice thing is, Fran, we've got all that information and how-to advice for people, so we can help them do that. Let's talk now about creating a WordPress blog, because that really is the gold standard today. And let's talk a little bit about, hosting and what does that look like, and how do you choose a vendor, and do you do managed hosting, do you self-host, what are the pros and cons of that? And just at least today I want everyone just to be introduced to so they understand the basics of what that means. And, of course, we're going to go into a lot of depth throughout the course, and today is just a really good overview of what you can expect to come. But I do want to talk about hosting solutions and why it's so important to make some of those choices up front and to make smart choices. Because a lot of people regret the choices that they have made, managed hosting versus self-hosting. So why don't you share your expertise on that?
Sure. Well, the hosting solution that you pick is going to be tied principally to the level of technical savvy that you have about blogging. So if you have very, very little hands-on experience, you don't really want to do a whole lot with the technical end of it, you don't want to get involved with any of that, then a managed hosting solution is probably the best. You can have somebody set it up for you, have everything ready, and then all you have to do is go in and write your post and put in your pictures, basically, and there's very, very little to do other than that. And that's what a hosting situation is about. That's how they're designed. And we will have a list of resources for you for some reliable and well-credentialed people in all these areas. But some people will want to do that. Of course, if you do that, the price is going to be higher. You're going to make a larger financial investment because, of course, if the work that you're not doing, somebody else is doing on the other side. But that said, there are some wonderful, wonderful managed hosting places that do a really, really good job. You can have a self-hosted blog where you can, arrange for your hosting and where you are responsible for, for blog setup and for blog maintenance and also for the content. And while that may appear to some people to be a very, very daunting type of a task, it really isn't that bad. It really isn't rocket science. You don't have to know everything, and there are different degrees of help and support at different hosting platforms where you can self-host your blog. So as I say, we have a lot of resources here, and there's no reason why almost anybody can't do a self-hosted blog using the type of resources that we have here. We have videos, how-to tutorials on how to set up a WordPress blog. If you have a hosting solution that is using, it's called FTP, which is a file transfer protocol. I don't want to go over it people's head, but we have basically every kind of type of installation. Some hosting companies use what's called a cPanel, which is just a dashboard for your online files where you can manage your blog there. So we have lots of different tutorials. Before you make a decision, you might want to go and take a look at some of these tutorials to see how that looks for you. We have a checklist of tutorials that I recommend that you take a look at in the first week and become familiar with and see what that looks like. Choosing vendors is important. I will say, GoDaddy is one of the most popular places on the planet, I think, to register a domain name, but I don't hear too many people saying nice things about their WordPress support. So I like GoDaddy. They're real nice people at GoDaddy, but I don't think I would ever host a blog there because I wouldn't want to get stuck, and I've heard about a lot of people who have had issues there. There are some great places. We'll be sharing, some links and places. Again, we're sharing links of places where we've had success personally and where people are talking about their success. We're very, very active online in different Facebook groups and different places all over. And so what we want to do is bring people who are respected, who provide support, who provide help when you need it, and that's a really, really important decision when you're choosing a vendor. You can also have a self-hosted blog where you just outsource parts of it. So you can have a self-hosted blog and then work with somebody else on developing a theme or a brand, which is the kind of thing Denise's company does. You can create your own theme, and actually we have another whole series on how a video series that you can go and take a look at, and you can follow it step by step. I think it's 6 or 8 hours of actual tutorials. You can sit down and create your own themes. If that's the kind of thing you like to do, then we have the step-by-step guide so that you can do all of that yourself.
And for anyone listening, I know that this can sound overwhelming, but I want to assure you that there's so much information here for you. You just have to want it. And I do want to say the one thing that's really important is remember that you are unique. You are different. Every agent's business is different. Every person on this call is different. Some people like managed hosting. Some people don't. Some people would never think of self-hosting. Other people wouldn't think of having a blog if they couldn't self-host. So the thing that is going to be really important is about finding what's right for you. And that's really the important thing that we want to share with you. So, Fran, I want to wrap up a little bit. I want to just summarize. We've talked a lot today and given a pretty good overview of what people can expect in No Blogger Left Behind. There's going to be lots and lots of tutorials and step-by-step instructions on, how to get there. We wanted to just give you a really good idea today of what is a blog, why is a blog so important, why is it so important to definitely consider the search engine optimization side of blogging and the analytics side of blogging, and why blogging and lead generation go hand in hand. The other thing that's really important that I wanted to get across today was the fact that I believe anybody can blog. I think that you have to create a brand for yourself. You have to create a name for yourself. You have to have some kind of a tool in your business that's going to bring leads in that is on an ongoing basis, because that's one of the biggest challenges agents have. And there's no doubt that blogging can do it. We've talked a little bit about how important it is to have content and good content and be different than, what everyone else is doing. So, Fran, I would like you to wrap up by just maybe sharing some thoughts you have on the editorial side and the lead generation side of blogging, because that, to me, those two things together can equal a very, very powerful blog. And I just want you to share some of that.
Well, I will, and I'm going to share that from the standpoint of, of a lot of people I've been talking to for a long time, people who are online, people we've talked to together, Denise. There are bloggers online right now who are very, very successful, who are generating 5 to 10 new leads every day. There are people who are building huge referral businesses, and and these are people who who are not just really smart realtors who are just using a blog and finding out that, oh my goodness, I don't think they started thinking, oh my God, I'm going to have 5 or 10 leads like this, and it started to happen because it happened as a result of them just blogging. Blogging and real estate are something that you have to think of together. It's just not an either or. It's you've got to integrate it into your real estate plan and handle that as part of your real estate business. It isn't done in addition to the stuff you do. It's part of what you do, and it should be time blocked and handled like other things, not just an extra with a question about where is this going to take me, how much business am I going to get. I do want to say something, too, on a personal level, because I have been blogging for 6 years. I've been studying blogs. I've been doing a lot. I'm more a student than I am a teacher, I think, because I study all the time. I've taken a lot of courses. And in the old days, Blogger Left Behind was primarily about for beginners and for people just starting out. And right now, lots of people are in the space. I really do believe that we have assembled what, in my mind's eye, is the single most complete and comprehensive resource about real estate blogging that I have ever seen. I have been looking at analyzing. Denise and I have been working on this for quite some time. Our goal was to put together the best educational program around. This is not modeled after anything anybody else has ever done. Nobody has ever done anything like this. And while the 8-week summary resembles what we used to do, the resources and tools at your disposal at No Blogger Left Behind are just one of a kind. I'm sitting back in awe. I'm looking at this classroom that the Lowness Group built. I'm looking at all of these resources. I can just imagine how much easier things would have been years ago, and the hours and the days and the weeks and the months of time that I spent learning what I did, and you can really have the benefit of all of that type of knowledge, of all of that experience, and it's right at your fingertips, and you've got it here. We're absolutely delighted, and I'm so much looking forward to seeing the blogs that people create coming out of No Blogger Left Behind. I just know we've got a great crowd who are joining us, and the real estate blogosphere, just wait. These people are going to come out and reap their benefits and meet some new buyers who are their ideal clients, and I'm excited for everybody, and I'm excited for us, and I'm looking forward to taking my own blogs to the next level, because I'm already learning a lot from a lot of the material that we're putting online that I'm taking some different and bigger steps myself now.
Well, the one thing, Fran, that I do want everyone to know is that the reason that my company created the classroom for No Blogger Left Behind is because so many of the people that I have had the honor of working with over the years, they've really been for me, the fuel in the engine, so to speak, because they have given me a lot of feedback on, what is it that they need? How is it that they learn? And a lot of people, you're going to listen to this call and you're going to go away and go, wow, that's overwhelming. It's a lot. Where do I even begin? So then you need to have a place to know, here's where I begin. Here's where these resources are. Here's where I can go back and listen to this again. Okay, I'm in the mood to learn about plugins right now. Okay, great. Go and fulfill that, okay? Oh, I need to know a little bit more about SEO right now. Go and take care of that. Okay, now I'm ready to talk about domain names and analytics. And, people today are unique. They learn at their own pace, and we wanted to have the largest set of tools available to people. The other thing I think that's really important is that the reason that I got involved with No Blogger Left Behind was because it was an opportunity for me as an educator and as a trainer. It's really important for me that people get the information that they need at a price that's affordable, especially with what the industry's been through in the last 3 years. It needed for me to be something that was affordable and irresistible for people. It was something that could actually solve a real-life problem that they had. It wasn't hype. It was, I want to blog. I want to know how to do it. I need lots of information, and I need to do this in baby steps. So, and then also for the person that's more advanced, okay, I want to bypass all that stuff, been there, done that, just send me to the more advanced videos. Okay, then that's where you need to go. And for me, I really love to see people win. And I am so excited, as Fran said, I want to see every single blog that comes out of it. I want to hear every single success story. When you get your very first lead, I know that we both want to hear about it. So there'll be an opportunity for you to share your success stories. And we're just thrilled that everyone has joined us today. And we look forward to meeting with you again on all of the upcoming weeks to come, and we just hope that you really enjoy the material. We are always open to any feedback or questions or suggestions you have, but I want to thank you today, and I just want to give you some hope. I want you to really know that you can blog successfully, and we're here to help you do that. So, Fran, thank you for joining me today, and thank everybody on the call. I'm just so excited about the No Blogger Left Behind program, and I'm really excited because we have an opportunity now. Let's take a little bit of a short break. We're going to come back at 10:30. We want to have a question and answer period. You're going to see the number on the screen right now. Why don't you go and take a break, get yourself a cup of coffee or a bottle of water or a snack, answer a telephone call that you might need to answer, or a quick email. And what we're going to do is we're going to come back at 10:30, and then we're going to open the lines up. We want you to ask us whatever questions you want, and we are so looking forward to talking to you very soon.